Hello everyone, it's been a while since I've uploaded anything, but yeah, here's a new video to talk about one of my favourite franchises, Pokemon. Uh, Today I'm going to be discussing Pokemon Sword and Shield, which I've put almost 50 hours into my copy of Shield at the time of writing this, and I just felt like giving my thoughts and impressions on what I like and don't like about the game, pretty much. First off, let me say I did enjoy the game enough while I was playing it. There are some nice new quality of life additions, some cool concepts. And as with any new generation, it's a blast to discover the new Pokemon that are in the game. Um, Overall, though, I feel like it's a lot of wasted potential. The I'll be discussing things like the story, the game locations, wild area, Pokedex, customization options, and raids over the course of this review slash analysis. I'll be trying to keep it relatively spoiler free, but there will be some minor things, maybe some Pokemon or like something like that during the course of the video. Um, but yeah, as it comes to story, I will be trying my best to keep that as spoiler free as possible. So yeah, basically play the game to form your own opinion, really. But well, if you care out spoilers at the very least. Um, and before we get too much into the thick of it, um, I'll just say that I rate it about a 5 out of 10. Uh, it's not a terrible game. I enjoyed it enough as a Pokemon fan, but it was overly underwhelming. Light on content, and if you're a casual player that doesn't care about competitive battling and breeding and shiny hunting and stuff like that, then there's not going to be anything for you to do post game. Numerous very cool, amazing concepts, but flawed execution stops the game from being anything better than mediocre. It's fun, and at least when you're searching around for the Pokemon that you want and stuff like that for the new stuff. But I'm not gonna like knock anyone for enjoying it. I'm not gonna make fun of anyone for that. But as a friend of mine described it to me, it's the McDonald's of video games. It's tasty enough, like it's not bad, like you enjoy it when you eat it, but it's more expensive and smaller than you remember. It ultimately just doesn't quite satisfy your hunger, you know what I mean? And it leaves you unsure about why you keep going back. Anyway, without too much further rambling on, we'll head into the first topic I'd like to discuss. And I believe that is the story and locations. I'm not going to spend too much time going over the story part of the game because God knows that Game Freak didn't. In general, I found the story disjointed and poorly paced, and overall, it wasn't really that interesting. I mean, Pokemon games have never really been known for how good their stories are, and that definitely hasn't changed. The end game twist, what twist in inverted commas, was overtly telegraphed so that it wasn't really a surprise. Like it was not a surprise twist at all. It was just a twist there for the sake of having a twist, really. I enjoyed the gym challenging aspect of the game, and I was actually enjoying the relative lack of focus on anything legendary, like the lack of an evil team going around and being evil, and like just while you're working your way through the gym challenge, it was fun not having to deal with that kind of stuff. Sure, there's a couple of aspects like you go look at the mural, you check out tapestries, stuff like that, but nothing really gets in the way of you enjoying your gym challenge too much. That is, until it does. um, yeah. And then, like, that's when the twist villain appears. His evil team appears, but it's, like, one guy that you actually face, like, 3 times, and you chase him around an area, and that's the evil team. It was not interesting. It feels like it gets in the way of your champion battle, and it feels like it just drags on much longer than it should, and it's quite frustrating. For about the first 3 gyms or so, the pacing isn't terribly bad, but then, like, you blast through the next gyms after that in, like, half the time it took you to do the first 3. I mean, I don't know if it's just the way I played, but it didn't feel like there was much to explore in between the different routes, in between the different gyms, along the routes and stuff. They felt short, and not much to explore, nothing around. The whole game really felt empty. There was some things to find, like some TMs and stuff around the place that you could find, but it just didn't feel like on par with other games. The towns felt empty. There was literally one town that was a poker center, and then what amounts to basically a hallway that you just walk down, and that's it. Like, I mean, it's kind of this game's Po Town, but it was not even as interesting as Po Town. But yeah, the gym challenge feels disjointed because of that. Pacing just feels off. On a more positive note, I didn't overly mind the rivals in the game. Like, the writing for them wasn't terrible. Hop gets depressed because he loses all the time. I completely understand that. Being a mediocre draft league player, I understand that losing all the time makes you not happy. But yeah, so I could get behind that. Marnie just seems to be enjoying the tough battles. She just seems to be having fun. And Bede, or Bade, I don't know how you say his name, whatever. He starts out as a massive tosser, but develops into slightly less of one over the course of the story. So yeah, some overall decent characterization of the rivals, though obviously, in my opinion, it does not save the story at all. I feel like anything legendary related could have been saved, should have been saved for the post-game. There is a severe lack of post-game content in this game. A short after story, basically, where you run around to the different gyms again, but that's pretty much it. Like, before they shove in any legendary stuff, they should let me become the champion first. And then it's my responsibility to help save the region, right? Like, let me become the champion, and then I will do the things that the champion should be doing. Because at that point, I'm the strongest trainer in the region, so of course it's my problem, right? And I feel like the routes probably should have been longer, or at least more to explore. I don't mind that they weren't, like, super long to get between towns, because it can be frustrating if you're getting lost and stuff. Like, look back at Gen 1 and, like, the dark tunnel and stuff like that, dark cave, whatever it is. But there's each route has, like, maybe 1 or 2, like, separate paths, separate very short paths that you can go down to talk to someone or to get an item, something like that, and it's just not a lot to do, to be honest. If you're a casual player, once you've finished the game, there's not going to be anything for you to do, really. Like, you can shiny hunt, you can breed for competitive mons, but if you're a casual player, there's not a lot. There's the raids and the wild area to go around, but you can only do that for so long. Yeah, like, oh, there's also the battle tower, but once again, like, you're not going to enjoy that if you're a casual player at all. I don't even enjoy it. I wouldn't even consider myself an overly casual player. The battle tree is trash, and like, any of the battle tower stuff has not been super good for a really long time in the Pokemon series, so it's a grind. Getting BP to get the items that you want is a grind, and it's not fun. They should have just made everything gettable in raids, or at least buyable with Watts, because that's the infinitely more fun currency to earn while you're playing the game, like earning it in the wild area by doing raids and stuff like that. A lot more fun than doing the battle tower. But yeah, speaking of the Watts and wild area and stuff like that, that's what I'll be going into next. That, and talking a bit about the Pokedex and what I think about the cuts that were made. Let me put it out there straight up. I could not care less that they removed Mons from the game. Discovering new Pokemon is half the charm of playing a new generation, which that part is still decent in this game. It's probably the best part of this game, really. That's why I'm still giving it about a 5. There's plenty of new Pokemon to discover. Some dumb, some cool, some dumb but cool, as there are in every generation. I think that every new gen should be completely new Pokemon, to be honest. At least then they can't be accused of reusing animations, at the very least. But yeah, I don't really care the fact that they did it. It's just that their excuses were such bullshit. That's where the real problem comes in. If they want to cut Mons to tell the story they want to tell, as long as the game's interesting, it's still fun to play, then we aren't really going to have a problem. But the fact is, the story isn't great. The game lacks content, and the fun runs out pretty quick. So we do have problems, unfortunately. The wild area is a glaring example of these problems, in my opinion. I love the concept. It's a great concept. It's like a huge Gen 1 Safari Zone. You go around and search for rare Pokemon that you wouldn't find in other places in the game, except a lot of the mons that you do find there you can find in other places in the game. And they're not too rare. The execution, like with most of this game, is flawed. I feel like the reason the gyms felt disjointed, the story didn't feel too well paced, is because they were expecting you to go into the wild area and look around for Pokemon, maybe to help you with the next gym, stuff like that. But the problem with that, there's only 2 towns that are actually directly connected to the wild area. If they wanted the wild area to be something that you spend time in between each gym, then they should have made every town connected to it. They should have made it they should have made the wild area the routes between the towns, basically. But I guess that would start making it too much like an open world game, right? And they wouldn't want an open world Pokemon game. That's not the only problem. That, as I said before, the wild area, it's fun to ride around in, but it quickly becomes repetitive. You realize there's not much substance to the wild area. It's sparse and overly uninteresting. As I said, a great but highly flawed concept. It seems like you see the same Pokemon everywhere. And in each patch of grass, it's just a ton of the same Pokemon. Also, like they could have filled it out and like, made it more much more variable in what Pokemon show up, but they cut half the Pokedex. So yeah, so it's missing a lot. Also, the weather effects are absolutely horrible. Anytime there's a weather effect, it makes it absolutely hard to see anything. It looks terrible, and the way that the weather just pops up when you're switching between regions is unimmersive, and it does not look good at all. Also, it did slow down, like it gave me FPS drops. I don't know if it's just the weather, but like especially when switching between two regions with different weather, I would sometimes drop FPS. But also, I noticed that when it was populating the game with characters from the internet, that it would also lag up, so it might have something to do with that as well. But yeah, basically, the wild area had a ton of potential. It's a very cool concept, but the way it was handled, it just did not turn out very well, or at least not as good as it could be. A bit of a letdown. But when talking about letdowns, well, I wouldn't really say letdown because I wasn't really expecting this to be good. But yeah, Dynamaxing and Gigamaxing. What I consider to be one of the worst gimmicks that Game Freak has ever introduced into the franchise is our next topic. Thanks. I hate it. What else should I really say about it, really? It's the should have been aborted incestuous child of Megas and Z moves, and it turns out worse than either. It's unfun to play against, and it's not even very fun to use. Once your opponent Dynamaxes, you either have to Dynamax yourself, or sack something and Dynamax what you bring in, or just keep sacking until their Dynamax wears off. 3 turns, it can be up to 3 sacks, really. The fact that it's kind of like Mega Evolving, but doesn't last the whole battle sucks, and the fact that it's like Z moves, but you get to have to use them all in a row, sucks. It feels more like an animation and particle test to see what the Switch can handle, rather than a fun, well thought out game mechanic. Sure, Z moves had their own problems too, but that's for another video another time, maybe. They're still not as bad as this Dynamaxing. Dynamaxing is just not fun. It doesn't help that you have to sit through long animations every time something goes into and out of its max forms, not including the long animations for the max moves. You can disable the max moves animations. You cannot disable the Dynamaxing animations at all. At least with Megas and Z moves, you only had to sit through the animations once a battle. But yeah, I don't even know what you could do to fix it, to be honest. Just delete it and give us more Megas. That's what I would like. More Megas are more fun than Giga and Dynamaxing will ever be. Like, Gigamaxing at least has the alternate forms, which are cool to collect and everything, and it's fun to work together in raids and stuff with your friends to try and find them and catch them and stuff. I mean, they are frustrating to catch. If you're not the host, catch chance is very small, but that's just how it is, I guess. But yeah, in my opinion, Giga and Dynamaxing is the worst gameplay gimmick that Game Freak has added in the history of Pokemon, and that's saying something, because they have added some very average gimmicks. And I hope that out of the new things that they've added, if there's anything that they cut from the next game, it is Dynamaxing and Gigamaxing. Just give us more Megas. Improve on Z moves. I don't know, like, Z moves could be much better. As I said, that's something to talk about in another video on what I think could be improved with Z moves, because I do actually like Z moves. I know that's a bit of an unpopular opinion, but yeah, Z moves are cool. Some of them, but they could be cooler. But yeah, that's for the next video. But yeah, so Gigamaxing, Dynamaxing sucks. Get rid of it, please. Game Freak, please. Raids, on the other hand, the single best addition to the game that Game Freak has made in recent times. At least in terms of multiplayer content, though it is still highly flawed in execution. When you're playing with your friends, and you're all communicating on Discord or whatever you use, even in real life if you've got real life friends. But yeah, running around your separate wild areas, checking all the raids that you have available, helping each other complete the hard ones, looking for those cool rare Pokemon, the hidden abilities, the Gigantamax forms. It is some of the most fun available to the player in the Sword and Shield games. It's just sad that it requires having friends to play with consistently to be able to do that. When you're playing it by yourself, it is a completely other story. The AI that it groups you up with in the absence of having friends are downright abysmal most of the time. It's absolutely terrible. Like, why in all hell are they allowed to bring things like Pikachu, Eevee, Togepi, Magikarp to 5-star like Gigantamax raids that are like annoying enough to try and deal with when you're playing with friends, but when you have things like a Togepi casting Life Dew when you are full health, when like the EV is already dead, the Magikarp's already dead, and Togepi uses Life Dew, and it's just so frustrating. It's like they're actively trying to handicap you for not playing with people. They bring Pokemon that are weak to the Pokemon that you're trying to defeat. Like, they'll bring Maractus against a Corviknight. It's just ridiculous. Half the time, they don't even attack to help break shields and things like that. Don't get me started on Wobbuffet and its ability to always choose the wrong move to try and return damage to the opponent. Your raid boss is using physical moves, then Wobbuffet will use Mirror Coat. If it's using physical moves, if it's using special moves, it will use Counter. It's crazy. Or it'll just click Amnesia to buff its special defense, which the raid boss will just get rid of later, and I mean, it doesn't matter in the first place. This is probably the biggest problem with raids, in my opinion. Though it's compounded by the fact that there are some annoying, frustrating mechanics. The shields the raid bosses generate are so frustrating to deal with sometimes, and the damage caps at certain points is also really frustrating. Like when when a raid boss is putting its shields up, the damage will cap out before it pops the shield. It's just so annoying. From what I've noticed, 5-star raids pop their first wave of shields at about 85-90% health, something like that. And their second wave of shields at around the 50% mark. But yeah, they're really annoying to deal with. 5-star raids generally popping about 4 to 6 bars of shields each bar, which absorbs one whole move, unless it's a Dynamax move, which removes 2. It doesn't matter if it's a super effective move, a critical hit, a not very effective move, or anything like that. It just removes 1, or if it's a Dynamax move, 2. super effective moves, I feel, should remove 2 bars, while super effective max moves should remove 3. Though, honestly, I feel like there shouldn't even be shields in the first place. There should be some other kind of mechanic that makes it harder to deal with. Like, sometimes you can hit it hard enough that you're able to do damage to the shield, though it's never really a significant amount, unless you're using Zacian for some reason. He's OP. It does do a chunk of damage when you break the shields, and it drops their defenses by 2 in each after you break through each shield. So basically, once you break the second set of shields, the next attack is pretty much going to kill it. If it's a super effective attack. Which I personally think is a pretty bad mechanic too. And yeah, the damage cap I was talking about, seriously unfun. It makes it seem like moves do way less damage than they should sometimes. Like, say a raid boss is going to pop its shield when it gets to 50% health. Even if you hit it with a super effective max move, you could end up doing as little as 1% health if it's only at like 51% before it's going to pop those shields. It's super frustrating to see. Like, super frustrating. Besides the fact that there's no point in clicking anything other than an attacking move, really, especially if you're not the fastest mon on the field. Shields stop all status effects. You can't toxic, burn, paralyze once that shield's up, and like a lot of the time, the first hit is going to pop the first wave of shields. So if you're not the fastest, there's no real point. It's just a waste of a turn if you're not breaking through that shield. There's no point trying to up your offenses or defenses. Like there's no point setting up. There's no point trying to heal up. You just click offensive moves until shields pop, then until you break the shields, and then until they pop again, and until you break it and then kill them on. You just keep clicking offensive moves. They're still fun enough when you're working together with friends, because at least you don't need to worry about Magikarp and Togepi dying 2 times and you failing the raid because of that. But it could be so much more interesting if there was something that means that like you can take on roles during the raid. Someone's the offensive threat, someone is healing the rest of the team, someone is setting up, someone is statusing the boss or lowering the boss's defenses or something like that. There's no real strategy to it, and it is a little disappointing. Just like this game in general. I love customization options in games. I love the customization options in this game. I just wish there was more. There are some really cool clothes options, though it's also really limited. I love dressing my character up in different clothes, but a lot of the variety available here is shallow at best. A lot of the combinations come down to things like, do I choose shirt green, shirt blue, or shirt pink to pair with pants yellow, pants red, or pants black? Why can't pants just be pants, and then we just select what colour we want them to be from a colour menu or something like that? Yeah. It's to give a false sense of variety, and it's annoying. You go into the store and you see this whole list of clothes. You're like, wow, there's a lot of clothes. But when you get down to it, there's probably less than 10 different styles each of the shirts, pants, and jackets available for each gender. It's just inflated with each object being available separately in different colours. Just give us more clothes options. Give us more. And, like, I know it makes it look like there's a ton of clothes there, but there really isn't. It's just colour variations, and it's sad. It makes me sad that there's not more. Speaking of clothes, why can I buy different gym uniforms, but there's literally no option to actually wear them for the gym battles? Like you can wear them just running around. You can wear them as your normal clothes, but you can buy whole gym uniforms, but can't use them during your gym challenge. You're stuck with the challenger outfit. Um, like you get given them different gym uniforms for beating gym leaders. You can buy other gym outfits at a vendor in each gym. Why can't I use them in gym battles? It's so dumb. Dumb, like the clothes you're forced to wear when riding your bike as well. All the color combinations look ugly. The whole outfit looks ugly. Come on, Game Freak, you can do better than that. You can, I believe. For God's sake, let me take my backpack off as well, please. It ruins my outfits. They are all massive. They look ugly. Let me take it off. At least give us good options. The one I'm wearing is the smallest one. I couldn't find... I could find... It's the smallest one I could find. It still looks ugly. Just let me take it off. Let me take off my backpack. The card customization is fun though. But once again, I just want more. Let us take photos in game and use the background. Why can't we do that? And give us more backgrounds if you're not going to let us take our own. More frames, more effects, please. Just let us move the effects around or scale them up or down so we can do more. Give us more poses. Let us pose our character how we want. Give us more face emotion options. I mean, because these cards are pretty much the only place in the game where our character actually expresses themselves with emotion. They definitely do not in cutscenes. At least not noticeably. Let us choose each face part separately so that we can choose what eyes, what mouth to use, what they're doing separately. And just give us more options to express our characters and ourselves. I do love the card customizer though, just give me more of it. Also, the way that you move the character around sucks on the card customization. Like, just the way that you select each different way to move the character separately rather than it being on different parts of the controller or anything like that. It's unintuitive and it's not very nice to control, but that's beside the point. Just, yeah, give me more customization. It's the funnest part of games that I enjoy the most, and just give me more of it. But for God's sake, let me take my fucking backpack off. 0 out of 10, bad game. But yeah, overall, it's not a terrible game. It's just a mediocre one. All of this adds up with a lack of endgame content. Means that the only people that will still be playing this game in a couple of months are shiny hunters, competitive players trying to grind out competitive Pokemon, and people who didn't get the game until Christmas. They're the only people that are still going to be playing this for any significantly any more than like a month or two from now. The good points are held back by problems with execution. Everything just feels a bit half-baked. It feels like a rush game that was pushed out earlier than it deserves. With a bit more time, it could have been a great game. But then again, they know we're going to buy it anyway, right? They're not wrong, as it's pretty much one of the best-selling games this year, from what I understand. But I feel Pokemon fans deserve better. But we also keep supporting this kind of content, so it is what it is. We keep supporting it, so it's what we get. Maybe the game will be finished by the time it gets released as Ultra Sword and Ultra Shield in a year from now. I know I personally will be unlikely to buy it next year until I find out what it's like from friends and other reviewers, I guess. I mean, unless I want to do a review like this one, we'll see. It's a while off from now, so maybe I've forgotten all about this by then and been like, wow, a new Pokemon game's coming out. Short memories of the internet and the people that make it up. There are a couple of things I've left out of covering in this analysis, such as things like the camping and curry making, but overall I felt they were pretty inconsequential on actual gameplay, and pretty much rehashes of things like the Pokemon and Poffin making from older games. So it's not really anything new, and it doesn't really add much to the game. For me personally, at least, they're not something that I really interacted with at all. So if you enjoy it, cool, but it's not the most engaging or defining part of the game experience. I love Pokemon, I love the franchise. I'm old enough that it's been part of my life since it was originally released in my country, at the very least. It's just extremely disappointing that it's not progressing at all. And every time that Game Freak takes a step forward with their game, they take a step back. There's some concepts here that, with a bit of refinement and work, could be excellent parts of Pokemon games in the future. But, who am I kidding? Game Freak cuts things, and these will likely be cut for the next generation. Game Freak likes to cut all the things that people like. RIP, Follow-em-ons, Secret Bases, Friend Safari, Battle Frontier, Megas, and now half the Pokedex. So, yeah, would not be surprised to not see things like the Wild Area and raids in the next generation. But yeah, I've been rambling on too long, so I'll wrap it up a bit here. 5 out of 10 is probably the best I could rate it. I guess 6 out of 10 if you like some of the content I haven't really talked about, but yeah, I can't take my backpack off, so it's actually 0 out of 10. Bad game. Yeah, but thanks for watching. If you made it this far, it's been my first scripted video, long-form analysis video. It's been fun. I hope to be able to do more of this long-form content in the future, maybe. So if you enjoyed it, feel free to let me know. Yeah, if you didn't enjoy it, let me know as well. I don't mind. You won't hurt my feelings, you won't make me cry, at least much. If there's any game you'd like me to do something like this on in the future, then let me know. Though I was thinking maybe the Outer Worlds could be a good game to do it on. It's pretty much the only game I've actually the only other game I've really played much this year, so we'll see. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in another video. Peace.